Hi, welcome to my inquiry unit plan. My name is Erica Erb. My inquiry unit plan will be on weather for kindergartners. We will use and share observations of local weather conditions to describe patterns over time. Not only will we describe the local weather conditions that happen here in Wenatchee, but we will also look at the different weather conditions that can take place throughout the world. Why is this topic important to science? I would say this topic is important to science because I believe that it's important for students to learn and know about all of the different types of weather that they could experience while traveling. I know not all of our students will travel, but some of our students will most likely travel and may face some of these different weathers that we don't experience here in Wenatchee, such as like tornadoes, or hurricanes, some of those crazy weathers that they can experience, such as like Florida, or some students may not realize that not everywhere gets the 4 seasons like we have here. How is this topic relevant to students' lives? Well, this topic is relevant to students' lives because we experience different types of weather all the time here in Wenatchee. We are lucky enough to have 4 different seasons, and with these 4 different seasons, we experience different types of weather. The students will learn that with the different types of weather, they might not always experience the types of weather that we do here in Wenatchee. So, like in the summer, we experience a lot of sunny days that are hot, and they could be warm. And for some of us, the temperature might just be right. A lot of the days are sunny. We might experience partly cloudy days. We might experience some cloudy days with rain. Then we move into fall, where our leaves are starting to change colors and fall off the trees. Temperatures are starting to get cooler, not necessarily colder, but they're definitely changing. They aren't as warm. Sweatshirts are starting to get pulled out, and it might not be as sunny and cheery. We might start getting more gloomy, rainy days. And then after we pass through our fall season, we move into winter, where we experience a lot of freezing cold days where we're below freezing at like 32 degrees Fahrenheit. We're below that. Um, Kids may notice that roads are slicker in the mornings because of moisture. Maybe it wasn't necessarily cold in the downtown Wenatchee, but so it didn't snow, it rained instead, and then froze. Where some students who live in the higher elevations may experience snow at their house and come down to school, and there might be freezing rain. Then we move into our spring, where we start experiencing more cheery, bright, pretty days where it's still cool, but it's starting to warm up. We we can explain these different seasons that we experience having weather types such as hot, cold, just right, warm, cool, rain, snow, sunny, wind, hail. Those are just a few different types of weather that we experience here in the Wenatchee Valley. Through this lesson, the learning targets that we will be focusing on will be students will be able to identify and describe the factors that are caused from various types of weather, such as cloudy, sunny, rainy, snowy, cold, warm, and windy, like I mentioned in the previous slide, by using key vocabulary. Students will also be able to compare the different factors that coincide with the different types of weather, along with identifying similarities and differences between the different types of weather that is experienced. Students will also be able to collect data along with organize the data from the various types of weather that we experience through our weather week. We will be going outside 2 times a day to record our data related to the weather we are experiencing. Sorry, I jumped ahead right there. So, sequencing information. Prior to beginning this lesson, students will have a basic idea of the different weathers that occur here in the Wenatchee Valley. Some students may know about the different weathers that could have weather patterns that can happen in different states around us and around the world, where some of the students may not have that understanding quite yet, but by the end of the lesson they will. I will get students thinking about weather on our way to recess. We will have discussions about maybe the leaves are changing because we're in the fall season, but currently at the time we're going into winter. So we may have discussions about the colder weather. Maybe I'm walking the students to the bus line and it's raining. We will talk about that. During transitions, maybe we happen to have a window in our classroom and we'll look out and notice that the wind's blowing leaves across our playground. Different things like that. I will strike discussions through these by asking students if they can remember a time that maybe they've experienced a certain weather that we're experiencing at the time. We will preview and discuss key vocabulary related to the weather. When previewing this, we will look at pictures that are directly related to the vocabulary. Students will be given an opportunity to explore and talk about different types of weather. The students will explain the different types of weather within their own words, along with their experiences. We will create a display wall inside of our classroom that incorporates all of the different weather that can be experienced throughout the world. And then we will have a specific spot designated just for the specific weather that we experience here in Wenatchee. This will help the students gain a better understanding and be able to recognize the different types of weather in our area. Then, after we've gained the knowledge about the weather that we can experience here in the Wenatchee Valley, we will begin collecting data for the next 5 days, where we go outside to the playground at 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. and we will compare the differences along with the similarities of the weather that occurred in the morning versus what's occurring in the afternoon. We will talk about maybe certain smells that we smell outside. We will draw a picture and write a description about the weather. At the end of the week, the students will learn what a forecast is, and with the data that they collected throughout the week of our current weather going outside the 2 days, they will get to create a forecast of their predictions for the following week of what our weather will be like. We will use explore, engage, and evaluate from the 5 E's throughout our whole duration of our lesson. We will read stories related to different types of weather. This will allow students to gain a better understanding of like what thunder's like, hail, tornadoes, hurricanes, severe weather, stuff like that. I will also present the students a YouTube video that is informational about the different types of weather that the students experience, along with if they traveled different places, what they could experience. We will be conducting this lesson through whole class discussion, small groups, and independently. Here is what the weather log looks like. They will go and fill out each of these 3 boxes for the day that we are outside. And for example, Monday morning at 9 a.m., the students will use our vocabulary words to describe what the weather is currently like in a short sentence. Then they will draw a picture of where they're at on the playground and what it looks like. And then they will write down what they might be smelling. Do you smell rain? Because everybody loves the smell of rain. That's my favorite. Do you smell flowers? Stuff like that. The students will have this provided to them by me, and we will keep this in their science folder that is located in their desk. I created materials for English language learners Because more times than not, you're going to have ELL students in your classroom, especially when you are teaching within the public school district. So I will have visuals related to vocabulary words. This I will give to all students, not just my ELL students. But when it comes to testing, I will give my ELL students the picture related to the word, and they will have to match them. And then gestures and actions related to the different types of weather. So for this, when we talk about like "Burr, it's cold," I'll like hug myself and kind of rub my arms to make it to give the idea that it's cold. Like when we're talking about hot, I will kind of like fan myself just so that, because that gives the idea that I would love to be cooler. Sentence frames. This will be completed in small groups where it's advanced students with average students and low students. And so my ELL students will be mixed throughout these groups to the best. Here is an example of a sentence frame. So I wear a coat on days when it is blank outside, but I wear short sleeves when it is blank outside. So the students will go in and write, I wear a coat on days when it is cold outside, but I wear short sleeves when it is hot outside. A blank tells me what the blank is outside. A thermometer tells me what the temperature is outside. Blank and blank are both types of precipitation. Rain and snow are both types of precipitation. Lots of gray blank in the sky can mean that it is going to blank. Lots of gray clouds in the sky can mean it is going to rain. For my assessments, at the end of each weather lesson, the students will complete an exit ticket. So every day after we complete our lesson on weather, because after we introduce the weather, the different types of weather, we will specifically start focusing on 2 different types of weather a day. So for the first exit ticket, what is something you learned about weather? So on this day, we have introduced all of the different types, but we haven't went into depth. What type of weather can we experience in Florida that we don't experience here in the Wenatchee Valley? So on day 2, we will talk about a weather type that we experience in Florida, but that we don't experience in Wenatchee. And the students will write what that weather is and what it's like. And then on day 3, what types of weather are experienced during tornadoes, such as, is there wind? What are the different factors? For day 4, what types of weather conditions do you experience during a hurricane? And day 5, what weather conditions would you like to learn more about? So we have talked about different weather that we experience here in Wenatchee, and we have also talked about ones that we don't experience here. I am assuming that students will want to learn more about weather that we don't experience here in Wenatchee. At the end of the week, the students will complete a vocabulary quiz that will be related to weather. They will also create a forecast based off of the data that they have collected from observing the weather on the playground. On day 3, the students will also have a weather matching activity that they will complete within groups as an assessment, and we will talk about it as a class. So some vocabulary words that the students will learn is cloud, hot, precipitation, rain, severe weather, snow, storm, sunlight, weather, weather factor, and wind will be their vocabulary words that I am going to prompt them to use throughout the week so that they gain a better understanding. Some concerns, classroom management. My biggest concern is safety. I fear the safety of the children when I am the only one outside with them when we are collecting our data on the playground. When we go out there 2 times a day, we'll be out there for 15 to 20 minute increments, and then I want to strategically place myself somewhere on the playground so that I can see all students at all times. I will continually do to conduct head counts to make sure that all students are accounted for. When placing students into these small groups, I'll place strong students with average and low students. The students will be using materials from their desk, so when we are done with these lessons at the end of the day, we will put them into their folder that is labeled science. And then when completing these lessons, when we are inside the classroom, they will be completed at their desk. When outside, the students will be asked to record their weather observations away from peers so that we are only getting their own work. And then here are some resources that I used to create this lesson.